Call to the member for Mallee.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. My question is to the Acting Prime Minister. Due to record energy prices, businesses in my electorate of Mallee are considering closing, potentially leaving hundreds unemployed. One such business, a brick manufacturer in Stawell, announced it was closing after over 80 years in business. When will businesses in my electorate receive the promised $275 energy bill relief?
Call to the Acting Prime Minister.
Well, thank you, Mr Speaker, and can I thank the member for her question, and we certainly acknowledge the pressure that is being placed on household budgets, but in this case on businesses, associated with increases of prices. And as I've said earlier, core business, the #1 priority for this government, is about easing the cost of living, and that also goes to the question of reducing energy prices. I mean, one of the real differences now, compared to when I first entered Parliament in 2007, is that cheap energy in this country is renewable energy, and that the way in which we get energy prices down is improving our energy grid and having policy certainty which allows people to invest in renewable energy and have that renewable energy be able to be received by the grid. But the problem is that we've had a lost decade when it comes to energy policy. Those opposite had 22 different energy policies, failed to be able to have a situation where there was policy certainty, and that's why we did not see the investment in renewable energy that we should. On this side of the House, we have done more in the last 15 weeks of this government than those opposite did in the last 10 years. Their inaction on energy has been absolutely shameful. But the height of that shame was what we saw from the former Treasurer, from the Shadow Treasurer, the former Minister for Energy, when he sought to change the law in order to mean that he did not have to tell the Australian people about
the Acting Prime Minister will take a break, and I will hear from the Manager of Opposition Business.
Well, Mr Speaker, we have a precedent on the question of relevance that was established by Speaker Jenkins on the importance of ministers having to be directly relevant, and I think it would assist the House if this convention were upheld. And I ask you to ask the Acting Prime Minister to bring his answer back to being directly relevant to a very specific question.
The Acting Prime Minister is in order, and I give him the call now.
The height of the shame of the former government was when the former Energy Minister sought to change the law so that he didn't have to tell the Australian people about an increase in the default retail price for electricity before the election. Can you imagine a more venal, a more pathetic conversation than the former minister must have had with his department when he sought advice about what he needed to do in order to make sure that he didn't have to tell the Australian people about his failure and the failure of his government. And the shame in that is the very reason why now we have the energy issues that we face. But what you've got on this side of the Parliament is a government.
The Deputy Leader of the Opposition, a point of relevance has already been made. I give you the call.
A point of... I seek leave to table a document, Mr Speaker. Labor's Powering Australia document, which refers to the $275
the Deputy Leader
energy
will
price
resume her
cut.
seat. It's not the time to do that, but if you wish to table a document, wait till the Acting Prime Minister has concluded his answer. The member for Barker. When the House comes to order, I'll call the Acting Prime Minister.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. In contrast to the complete ineptitude of those opposite, what we now have is a government which is actually going to have settled policy on energy, which will see a reduction in energy prices.
Members on my left.